every time we see the ARC troopers on screen is phenomenal. Sure, the Jedi get a lot of play in Star Wars Clone Wars, a lot of battling, a lot of fighting. But the very first episode, they introduced the ARC troopers on Munilinst, and they set up and they basically like they're zooming through in their LAAT through the streets of Munilinst, and then they set up there, and they're going to basically ultimately attack. I think it's Dirge and this cannon that they're shooting off, and that's just an incredible one. And then they do that again at the either the I think it's the beginning of the third season, maybe, or somewhere in there. But we see them. I don't even remember where, but we see them when basically we're introduced to Grievous, but we don't know who Grievous is. So maybe it's the end of season 2, and they're racing along, and it's just the way that I don't know, it's the music, it's a lot of silence, and then they're just attacking. There's no words, there's no dialogue, there's just attacking, and it's just so stylistically incredibly cool.
Yeah, it's really well done. Totally agreed on that. And you reminded me of something else I wanted to say about the voice cast, because you mentioned the ARC troopers, and that got me thinking about how we don't get a ton of character development on the clones themselves in this, the way we do in the Clone Wars animated series. And I thought it was interesting that they chose not to give them the New Zealand accent that Tamora Morrison has in Attack of the Clones, which actually makes a little bit more sense, because accents are not genetic. Like if you were born in New Zealand and moved to America or whatever and had a child and then abandoned that child to be adopted or whatever, they would not have a New Zealand accent. So I think it makes more sense that they don't have the same accent as Jango Fett. But
I think you're 100% correct. I like it. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, that makes a lot of sense.
I guess in Star Wars, accents are genetic. Maybe we'll just say that's the no prize explanation for that.
One other thing, which I know it's going to lead into your next question, but I'm going to roll with it, which is also at the end of that season 2, when we're getting the ARC troopers coming in, and we have Grievous. Okay, so yes, we get Dirge in the first season; he's the main baddie. In the second season, it's Asajj Ventress. But the third season, Grievous is so tough. Like even multiple Jedi can't defeat him. He is just unbeatable. He's invincible. No one can even touch him. And then we see really he's just so incredible throughout that entire third season. But then they do an incredible move towards the end of the third season, after he abducts Palpatine, which is that we have Mace Windu basically force crushing his insides, causing him to wheeze, which is then how we see him in episode 3. And so that's, I think for me, was really great. And that came out like a month or two before episode 3 was released in theaters. Yeah. And so we had the background, we had the backstory of why he's wheezing, yet he's supposed to be a powerful fighter. And versus what we get in Star Wars, the Clone Wars, there's no such backstory. He's just wheezing. And I really like the way that they showed him in Star Wars Clone Wars as being mighty, and then just having this run-in with Windu, where Windu, like, yes, Palpatine is kidnapped by Grievous, but at the same time, Mace Windu still had an effect on that.
That's one of those moments, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Cobb Vanth, where, yeah, you go to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters and General Grievous is coughing, and you're like, I saw Mace Windu do that in the cartoon, and the people who watched it got that, and other people are just like, why is this guy coughing? That's kind of odd.
Ooh, that reminds me of another cool thing. Sure. During the Battle of Coruscant, where there's a really awesome scene where the troopers are fighting. They're trying to fight off the droids, but then we have Yoda riding in to save them. And there's a lot of really great battle scenes that take not just Windu, but Yoda and the troopers themselves. So there's again, like anybody, even though it's no longer canon, and I acknowledge that, but it's still a lot of fun to watch.